right? And, well, one thing, when you set up a system where you decide what having it all means, okay? The white supremacists set the value systems up for people all over the world. You know, you wear a suit and a tie, you're a businessman, all right? And, you know, and you can do business because they say this is the business suit. So even people who don't particularly care for the system of white supremacy, who are people of color, they say, well, hey, if you're going to do business, if you're going to be taken seriously, and the only way you can be taken seriously is that you wear a suit, whatever that means. What is a suit? And a tie. And what is a tie for? It's something you put, a piece of cloth that you put around your neck that kind of hangs down from your neck. And what is that all about? Well, you got to have it if you're going to be taken seriously. Okay, according to whom? According to the white supremacists. I'm not sitting down and talking to you and you come in there, I mean, with your pants down and your shoes unlaced and your hair all over going in different directions and whatnot, and you talking about you're a creature to be taken seriously. You're something to be shot because you look like an animal. Why? Because I say you look like an animal. That's why. All right? So it's the same way with what the value of a female is who wears dark skin. All right? What is that worth? That's not worth nothing to anybody. I mean, except to make some more animals to be used and mistreated. That's all that's good for. I mean, what she thinks or what her ambitions are or how she thinks she's supposed to look and all like that, who cares? Who is supposed to care? This is a throwaway creature. All it's good for is reproducing some more things for us as white supremacists to use for whatever we want to use for in the form of mistreatment. And when we get tired, in answer to the basic question of just being in charge, just being supreme, we get bored. So we just check out. We kill ourselves. Because we ain't got nothing else to do no way. I mean, you know, we know more than anybody. We can go any place at any time. Nobody stops us from doing anything. And so after we've eaten all the food and traveled here and traveled there, and we've told people that you come in and buy this little bag and you'll be somebody. Why? Why if I buy this bag I'll be somebody? Because I said so with your dumb self. You do what I say. What I say is valuable is valuable. And I got a little bag here with my name on it, and that's valuable. And you should work for 50 years to try to get one of these bags. And then you can take it down and show it to your other dumb black people, all right? And they'll kill you for it. And that's a part of my business, too. And I'll put my name on the side of some shoes that I make, and I'll get you killed for that. Because that's what I train you all to do, to worship whatever I give you and tell you that it's worth something, and you'll kill each other for it. And that's a part of my plan. But every now and then, I get tired of the whole thing. I mean, I do so much of it, I get sick of myself. So I just check out. So what? I mean, you know, because, hey, you know, because I can. I'm a master. So if I decide that I don't want to breathe no more, I just stop breathing. So what? You know, because I like death anyway. I like to see dead things. Mostly dead things in the form of black bodies. I like to see them dead. Well, we've been trapped into that thing called African descent, because I really don't know what that means. Because the white supremacists themselves said, hey, we're Africans too. Open any anthropology book, and the white supremacists themselves say, we originated in Africa. All people originated in Africa, including white people. So if you're talking about African descent, so What are you talking about? I'm African too. And then the white supremacists, if they tell the truth, they'll say, hey boy, wake up and smell the coffee. It ain't where you're from. See, you black people got a thing about where you're from. It's what you are now and what you will be. It ain't where you're from. Everybody's from somewhere. So what? It's who has the power, boy. You ain't noticed that? Who has the power and how did they get it? And we know more about that than anybody because we got it and you ain't. Now figure that one out. Now you can talk about where you're from all day long and you can talk about where I'm from. So what? Where you're from is where you are now and where you can go and what you can do when you get there each and every time, and nobody can stop you. And as a white supremacist, I ain't found nobody who can match that. Now that's the voice of the white supremacists. Mm-hmm. So we should get out of this thing of studying our navels. You know, that's what I call it.
Okay.
Sitting in a corner and talking about, well, you know, I got some great ancestors. Well, what does the code say about ancestors? You know what I say when people ask me about my ancestors? I say this, what I've written in the book. My ancestor invented breathing. And I never say nothing else. That's all I have to say. I don't look at any books and all like that. When I started talking about ancestors, and they started talking about what your ancestors did and going and picking through this and this artifact and that artifact, I never paid any attention to any of that. I simply say, Neely Fuller's, going under this slave name, ancestor, invented breathing. Why? Why do I know my ancestor invented breathing? Because I'm breathing. I could not be breathing without my ancestor inventing a thing called breathing. And it doesn't get any better than breathing. That's why I say that's the only artifact I need.
Okay.
It doesn't get, I don't know of anything better than breathing. Okay. For a person, an animal, a plant, or whatever. I don't know of anything. Whatever invented breathing, that was my ancestor. So now we can just, you know, when we sit down, it's the practical reason for this. Because, see, the white supremacists sit there and say, well, tell me all about your ancestors. You know, before you can get this job, I mean, you got to show me your background. I mean, have your people ever done anything worthwhile, blah, 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 blah? That's a trick. That's a massive trick. That's just something to take up a whole lot of your time and exhaust you, which the white supremacists are good at. So you just simply say, oh, my ancestor invented breathing. All right? So we can move on to something else. Okay, right quick. Bam, just like that.
Alrighty.
The codification is about moving fast right out the gate. Oh, absolutely. Everything that the white supremacists do, and this is important to remember, if a white person is a person that believes in and practices white supremacy, which is racism, he or she does nothing that's not going to give strength to the system of white supremacy intentionally. Anything that they do intentionally and deliberately is always to make the system of white supremacy stronger. They avoid doing anything that's going to be a danger to the system of racism. Why? Because if you're a racist, it's in the best interest of you as a racist to become stronger, not weaker. So anything in any of the areas of activity, economics, you're not going to do anything in economics that's not going to make white supremacy stronger. Education, same thing. Anything that they teach, anything that they go to learn. You talk to a racist and whatnot, and you say you're setting up some kind of school, that racist mind begins to turn and say, wait a minute, is this school going to make me stronger as a racist? It's going to help me to practice better power over black people, or is it not? is it going to weaken me? Entertainment, the third area of activity. Same thing. Am I going to take part in this play? Is it going to help to make me stronger as a white supremacist? Or is it going to make me weaker and make a black person stronger in a constructive manner? I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to participate. If I'm a white supremacist, no, I'm not participating in any form of entertainment that's going to help a black person do anything of constructive value. Now, if they're going to do something in the third area of activity, entertainment, all right, that's going to be non-constructive for black people and constructive, giving me greater strength as a white supremacist, then I'll participate in that play or in that movie or in that event or in that festival or in that whatever it is, that gathering that they're going to have in the entertainment field. It's the same way in any field: education, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Any one or more of the 9 areas of activity, the racist bells always go off when they look at anything that's going on. And people are always doing something. Everybody's doing something. A racist always looks at everything and say, is it going to weaken black people and make them more stupid than they already are and have them doing crazy things that's very destructive to themselves and other black people? And if it's not, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. That's the white supremacist philosophy. Every black person on the planet who has been exposed to white supremacy, and the assumption is every black person on the planet has been, even when they haven't been in contact with white people directly. They've been exposed to the white culture indirectly. White culture is about white supremacy. Now, what does white supremacy do? It teaches people of color that if you are a male, you cannot be a man, period. Not in the system of white supremacy. And you're not going to be treated like a man, ever. Now, you can walk around and think that you're a man, but that's between you and you, strictly between you and yourself, because no white person has an obligation, if you're a black male, to treat you like you are a man. And it's logical simply because in the system of white supremacy, it's impossible for a black male to be a man. It doesn't make any difference how old he gets or what he knows or what kind of connections. That can't be done. I just start with myself. I'm not eligible, not qualified to be a man. Why? Because I was born in captivity, that's why. When you're in captivity, when you're a prisoner of war, you are strictly that and nothing else, a prisoner of war, a victim of white supremacy. And you don't have another title. You can give yourselves all kinds of titles, which is why black people love titles. We give ourselves all kinds of titles. We give each other all kinds of titles. Some titles, it's not as bad as it was in the old days. I say bad, if you want to use that word. But some people used to say professor, reverend, most high. I mean, before you ever get to a name, you would have about 40 titles. You know, when somebody introduces you, if you're supposed to be what you call a big shot Negro in the old days. This is not new. This goes way back. That struggle. Oh, I'd just love to be a man. I mean, what can it take? But by this generation, what you call the new millennia, most young black people have looked around. They have looked at the people that came before them, who since the 1960s, the white supremacists have done a rough job on black malehood. First of all, giving them an option that you can continue to be a big boy, or if you really want to get some material benefits, put on some gold slippers and skip around, and grin all the time and all like that, and have a little money in your pocket. Now you can be a black girl if you're a black male. You can be a black girl, but you cannot be a man. You will never be a man in the system of white supremacy. Now, they have put that in cement. They have written, or rather in steel, or whatever the hardest subject, a diamond. The white supremacists have put that philosophy out here since the 1970s. That's the benchmark that I give it. All over the world, and they're spreading it. They're saying, you're not going to be a man. You're a black male, and you think you're going to be a man on my watch? On my watch? This is the voice of the white supremacists now. Racist man and racist woman. Say, that's not going to happen. Say, now Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and all of that, they said that that's what they're going to make you out of. But it's not going to happen. Now, you can talk it, but you make any move to make that real, and you're going to wonder what fell on you. Now, they have made that clear to all of us, and the young black people have picked up that signal, and they say, well, if I can't be a man and I don't want to be like my sisters, I don't want to switch around all day looking for a male, and I pretend to be a female or try to switch over and be one, if they can operate on me and make me one, because then things become easier. I mean, I guess, I hope, but I definitely can't be a man because I'm in big trouble if I try to be. Then what can I be? Well, the white supremacist said, well, I'll give you another outside option. You can go around and pretend that you're a man by doing harm to other black people. That's cursing out black females, calling them names and all like that. Write songs about them where you call them all kinds of names and kick them all up and down the street. We don't care about that. Kick your mother up and down the street. I mean, we rejoice when we see you do that, okay? But if you start acting anything like you ask for respect from us, the white supremacists, boy, you're going to get dead real quick. Most black males, we know that because they teach us that in no uncertain terms. When we really start asserting ourselves and say, you're going to respect me as a man. And the white supremacists said, you tell that to other black people. But don't you get in my face ever, boy, and act like you're even thinking like that, dealing with me. Now, I'll play with you for a little while. I'll laugh and joke with you. But if you get serious and think that you're going to be a man, and when I'm here, because there ain't but one man in this house, and when I say house, I mean the entire planet Earth. Anytime you think with your black self, you're going to be a man in my presence, you got another thing coming. Now, like I said, I'll play with you. I'll kid around with you. I'll joke with you. I'll play some ball games with you and all like that. Don't you ever think that you're a man. You're a boy, or you can act like your sisters and be a girl, and you ain't got no other choices with me. But you got all kind of choices with your own people. Even though your own people are really not your own people, they are mine too. But you can kill them. You can tell them, ain't nobody going to disrespect you. Well, you tell that to other black people, boy. Well, don't you ever even think it in my presence. You don't even have to say it. Don't you even act like you might be thinking that, or you're going to find out what the hell is. And you know what? The white supremacists have proven that they can deliver on that message every time, and I don't care who you are if you're black on this planet. When you really put them to an acid test, they have so far proven that nobody will take them on, because nobody knows how to, including Neely Fuller. I'm just trying to find out. I'm in their prison too. I was born in their prison too. So to get to the crux of what we're talking about here, for black males, we're talking about manhood. And it's not going to happen, folks. As long as you have the system of white supremacy in place and not having a system of justice. This is why, rather than run around killing each other, that's not going to help.
once you get in a supreme position, you don't fear any annihilation, except if it looks like you're losing your power. Then you have that fear. Now, up to now, they haven't displayed where they fear that they're losing that power, even though I believe that they are losing some of it, but gradually. But as of now, they're right on top of the situation. So they're just trying to maintain what they already have. Now, I base that premise on, if it came right down to it, they would have to make a decision. If they intend to retain this power that they have, which they now have, they have to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to do justice, in which case they do make themselves vulnerable to genetic annihilation. But I would say if the black people are intending to replace white supremacy with justice, then they don't have it. They shouldn't have that fear, but they still might have it. But if they believe that black people will not do the correct thing, in other words, they believe that black people do not believe in justice themselves, then they have another option, and that is to kill all the black people, which they can do. There's nobody that's going to stop them, because nobody cares. Not even black people care, if they tell the truth. Individual black people care, but generally speaking, black people don't really care what happens to black people, because black people kill each other every day in large numbers and think that it's fun. That's the truth, because the white supremacists have programmed us that way. In fact, we think that it's cool, particularly black males. Killing black males is almost a rite of passage. As far back as I can remember, right up until this day, it's been passed on. That is a ingrained a part of black culture. It's more of a part of black culture than anything else. Black people killing and mistreating other black people is a part of black culture. If you want a definition for black culture, that's just about it. So the white supremacists have no problem with that, because they will be killing us and we'll be killing each other. So if they wanted to annihilate us at all, it would be a piece of cake. It would be a piece of cake. But there's a problem with it. Over the period of time that the white supremacists have been in business, they've become accustomed to it. Now, accustomed to what? To practicing white supremacy. And what is the purpose of white supremacy now? According to logic, from at least my viewpoint, and studies and observations, it's white supremacy. They're not after land, they're not after money, they have all of that. The idea of white supremacy is a value within itself. That's what they're riding on now. Now, if they kill all of the black people, then they're no longer white supremacists. And then they will have no longer a reason for existence, because they have made that their reason for existence. All of their movies, all of their folklore, everything that they do, every move that they make, proves that white supremacy is their reason for wanting to breathe, even wanting to get up in the morning. White people become lazy, really, when they don't have that adrenaline rush of practicing racism in one form or another. That's what keeps them going. That's what makes them get up real early before anybody else gets up. If they don't have that, they have no incentive hardly to do anything. Now, this is based on evidence. Even when they talk about going into outer space, they are looking for people. What people? Well, their folklore tells us, look at Darth Vader, Darth Invader. Back in the 1930s, it was Flash Gordon looking for the clay people. Clay people meaning people made out of mud. That was in the 1930s. So it's always this thing, this driving force of racism. That's what keeps them going. That's their adrenaline. That's their cocaine. And if they can't have that, they don't see any point in being here. They have done everything else. All of the inventions, perversion of what the universe is supposed to be about. And that's why we are having this conversation, presumably, that we need a better system. Got a wonderful planet here if we treat it correctly and treat each other correctly. But the white supremacists, as long as we have that doctrine, we won't be able to do anything that
But you see them walking down, picking up the sidewalk, acting like they can whip everybody. Sure, they can whip somebody who looks just like them, because that's permitted. Permitted by whom? The white supremacists. They don't care. Kill everybody in the neighborhood. So what? There's another black neighborhood gone. There's another one down the street, ready to go. What's the big deal? You better be careful about whose space you get into when you get carried away with what you can do to other black people. And what's pitiful about it is most of us know that. Very few of us don't know that. We know whose space to get into. And we know just about how much backing we have.
Shame. Shame.
Black person in handcuffs. All kinds of tattoos. All kinds of long record for being able to whip everybody since 9th grade. Standing there in handcuffs in an orange jumpsuit in his best hairdo saying, "Yes, Your Honor." Why don't you use the kind of language toward Your Honor that you use with the people that you encounter right there in your neighborhood? The one that you say that you're a master over. The one that you can terrorize. All the females flocking to you and halfway scared of you. Knock them around all over the place. Call them all kind of names. Why don't you call Your Honor that same name? Snatch him from behind the bench. No. See, we're great show people. Greatest show people on earth. 3 9mm, one in your sock, one in your waistband, one in your side pocket. Ready to take on the entire world in a movie. In a homemade video. Or passing a bus stop full of black people fixing to go to work. Or you can terrorize them. Why don't you take on the champ? Which usually is just 1 or 2 white supremacists who just come and say, "Now, I think you'd better behave because you're disturbing my peace. Now, if you don't think I can handle you, try me." And I haven't been on this planet forever, but I've never seen a situation on a large scale, or never heard of one on a large scale, of any significance throughout the history of the black male, because that's who I'm talking about, who didn't chicken out in a moment of real crisis. So I don't want to hear it in this stalwart Black History Month about that all-powerful black male. Because I've seen our record, particularly in the last, I'll say, just in this area of the world, 60 years. And we've had a few who did things the way that they ought to be done. They protested in the street. They carried signs. They talked about non-justice. Martin Luther King, people like that. Fannie Lou Hamer, as a black female, backing up black males who got out there and tried to do something that made sense rather than just terrorize the neighbors. And that's doing what we're supposed to do from the weak position that we have. Only time we show all this bravery is when we are mistreating other victims of racism. For the most part, some exceptions. Nelson Mandela, exception. Martin Luther King, exception. Malcolm X, exception. A substantial list, but well-spaced. Well-spaced. All those black males in between, usually the ones who are doing hard time, if you look at what they are charged with, most of it is mistreating, whether they're guilty or not, but most of it is for mistreating other prisoners of war, the race war, people that look like themselves, can't stand themselves and want to kill everything that looks like them and laugh about it and call it an accomplishment. Now, I harp on this because this is one thing that should be real passe. As they say in the hip-hop culture, I think they call it whack. That's really whack. I think that's what they call it. Makes no sense at all, and has been embraced in every generation. Didn't just start. As far back as I can remember. Black male carrying the Saturday night razor. I'm going to cut me somebody before the night's over. Oh, yeah. Who are you going to cut? Who are you going to cut, Jimmy? Who are you going to cut, Mac? Well, I'm going over to the dance hall. Who's in the dance hall, Mac? I'm going to cut me somebody who breaks bad over at the dance hall. Who is it that's going to break bad in the dance hall, Mac? Somebody that looks like me. Somebody I probably went to school with before I dropped out, and they dropped out. So we meet up 18 years later, and we slash each other to death in the alley. And that's supposed to be a big deal and the purpose for being on the planet. Now, there are millions of black people who think just like that, and they are not all just in this area of the world. They are south of here, in places like Brazil. They look forward to that kind of foolishness. It's an old black tradition while we're talking about black history. That's a huge part of black culture. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop as of tonight. We need to do some thinking and just say enough of that. Been there, done that. Forget it. No more gang tattoos. I mean, who are we fooling? Who can we really whip? A very limited number of people. And certainly nobody who is smarter and more powerful than we are, particularly somebody who is really an army. A system of white supremacy. You know anything about taking that on? No, nothing, zero. Better start tap dancing. Stop acting like we are not prisoners of war. Act like we are prisoners of war. Now, prisoners of war, and that's why I sometimes refer to a movie called Shawshank Redemption. Or you can look at some of the war movies, where people are prisoners of war. What do prisoners of war think about doing? They think about not being prisoners of war. That's their duty. That's your duty. Black people have a priority throughout the world, and I've been repeating this on this program and on other programs, and I say it in the book and everything. What is black people's priority as a rule? When you go among any black people right now, right where you are, right where I am. What is the black person's average priority, minute by minute?
Show it off. Show it off.
I will answer according to what I have observed and what I am a part of myself, really. But I have made it a non-priority in the last 30 years. I mean, because it doesn't make sense. And it hurts me to have had that priority. And that is to, every day, wake up with one thing in mind. The average black person, if we'll tell the truth, do whatever it takes to impress another black person. Stop and think about what black people talk about, what they plan on doing. Hey, man, I'm going to have some time off this weekend, all right? Time off to do what? There's nothing we can do except adopt a code to get rid of the system of white supremacy. That's what I've been saying for years. You're not going to be able to stop this in this system. The system is set up for that. It's set up to make that happen. That's automatic. This is not some fluke in a perfect society. I mean, this is the government of the non-white people of the planet. It's designed to do that. Black people getting pulled over and shot down repeatedly. And the balloons on the fences, the hugs and the kisses in front of a church, that's going to continue for the next 10 million years. As long as you have this system in place. You're supposed to be, these are not incidents. These are built into the systems. These are requirements. If you're a white supremacist, this is what you're supposed to do. You gun down black people. That's what the guns are made for. And black people are given guns only if they are going to use these guns against other black people. And that's been proven every day. Mm-hmm. And we have bought into it because that's how we show off among each other. Man, I'll kill you. I'll kill you right now. You ain't nobody. You ain't nothing to me. You know. No, I ain't going outside and getting no fist fight. I'm going to kill you right now. You dead, man. You don't say nothing like that to me. All right? Now, what do I get out of that? I get a rush feeling, like a cocaine high. Mm-hmm. All right? And then I stand a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, well, I apologize, and, I lost my temper and whatnot. That's all built in. The white supremacists know you're going to lose your temper against other black people. And they know you're going to do what you did because that's all a part of their plan. They know us better than we know ourselves or know anything else, all right? Because they taught us, and they taught us to hate us. We go around talking about Black Lives Matter. Black lives do matter, but only the people who don't matter. Stop acting like we are not prisoners of war. Depend on what frame of reference we use when we say reparations. Reparations means to repair damage that's been done. Now, we have been damaged all the way, not just in some things, not just in lack of some money. Money won't do it for us. And if the white supremacists, that's the first thing black people think about because we've had so little of it. So when we think of reparations, we think of everybody lining up on a golden day, and everybody's going to get a check with their name on it, and then, hallelujah, party time, barbecue time, limousine time, okay. The booty shaking all over the place, all right? At last, free at last, reparations. No. First of all, we should get that out of our minds about cash. Cash will destroy us in about 20 days after we get it. It'll be the biggest mess you ever saw, ever. And the white supremacists will be laughing like I don't know what at our carrying on with that cash money. Millions of dollars for every black person. I can see it now. And if you stop and think about it and just look out the window at us now and look at how we go about doing things, look at what's important to us, and then imagine us each with $10 million apiece instantly on a payday or $20 million or whatever it is. And then imagine us, if we get paid at 5 o'clock that morning, what we'll be acting like by 5 o'clock that evening. with the state of mind that we have, being the type of people that we have turned out to be in the system of white supremacy here in 2019. Just stand back and think about it. That's all I'm asking to do. Just stand back. Reparations, cash for every black person who has suffered directly, indirectly in the system of racism, legacy of slavery or whatever, segregation, lack of civil rights, lack of jobs, being paid off, $30 million for each black person. I'm just throwing that out as a figure. Got paid this morning on this day, on a Friday. By Sunday, I have told people down through the years, I wouldn't want to be anywhere around us. And I mean that, seriously. If that's the deal that we would get, cash money to spend any way that we choose to spend, no conditions. So, what do you say about reparations, Fuller? You know, so codification is not about talking about how things are or how things could be in a terrible way. What would reparations be? We're talking about a generational thing, mainly the big poor. It would be education, start with, because people who don't have any sense ain't got no business with no money. Number one, all right? Education, a lot of it, tons of it. That would be the first thing in reparations. Get your mind straight. Because we're thinking long range here, not any one-shot deal. That ain't going nowhere. The white supremacists have every dime of that money back and then tell every black person, you've been paid off. Now get out, find another planet to go to, because this one is mine. I paid you all off. So if you didn't know what to do with your money, that's on you, because we got it all back by 5 o'clock the next evening with some of you. Every cent of it we got back, because you immediately went out talking about you want a white chauffeur in your 15 limousines that you're going to buy. We know that. We pretend that we don't know that, but we know how we are. Slaughtering each other. I'll kill a blankety blank. That's how we'll talk. And pay for him. I can see it now. So what do? No. We need an education program that's solid, the best in the world, and it needs to be generational, guaranteed education, first-class education in everything that matters, not the scrap education that we're getting now. Education that's 100% constructive, nothing non-constructive anywhere in it, everything in it constructive. All right, and health care, that goes along with education, okay? You want guaranteed, and transportation and housing. I call it the big four. Education, health care, housing, transportation. Generational, spread out. And don't just give us a house without a break on certain things. See, because we don't have discipline. We haven't been taught discipline. We've never had to be disciplined, except somebody hitting us over the head. That's what we associate with discipline. But we need self-discipline, which we don't have, which means if you give a black person a house, okay, that's helping to repair, because we've been denied housing for so long, but you have to put a break on that. You have to tell every black person, you can never sell this house. You can trade it, but you can never sell it. You can trade it for another house in another place. You can do that, maybe 3 or 4 times. But and then there's a limit, because we got to be reasonable about it if we're talking about real reparations. No, I've never done that, because I've never run into anybody, any white people who had the same last name is me. I've never had. I've never run into a person named Fuller who was white in my entire existence. I haven't run into that person. But if that person would ever contact me, according to the code, page 95 in the textbook for victims of racism, that you can get by going to producejustice.com, I'll just put that note in there. You know, if you happen to encounter, your name is Jones or Johnson, I mean, you should, and that person is white, you have the same last name as that white person, and you're a person that is black, well, according to people like whom they call the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's where our names came from in the Northwestern Hemisphere. Black people's names came from white people who owned them, their family chain. So it's logical under compensatory law that these are the people who should step forward. In fact, white people who are named Johnson should try to find black people who are named Johnson and say, how can I help you? Because, hey, my ancestors, you know, I was able to be successful based on your captivity.
Okay.
And everything that I have now as Mr. William Johnson, and I'm a white person, and I got all this money, and you know, and I'm doing well, and all of the Johnson family going way back. I mean, hey, we have done quite well.
Okay.
But you people, you black people named Johnson, you haven't been doing too well. So when I run into a black person named Johnson, and I'm a white man, and my name is Johnson, I say, Mr. Johnson, I mean, you know, my ancestors probably owned your ancestors just like I own you now, directly, indirectly, under the system of white supremacy. So is there any help that I can give you? Let me know. You say, is your name Mr. Jones? Mr. Jerry Jones? And if he says yes, you say, well, my name is Jones, you know, and we may have something in common, you know. And do you think that we should discuss this, if you're willing to?
Oh, okay.
And if he will, fine.
Okay.
But if he won't, I'm quite sure he'll tell you. Seek to have all white persons who have the same last name as yourself. You can start right there in your school or wherever you are, if you're in the Army or anything, okay, to give you direct help in some or all of your financial, technical, and or educational efforts. Now notice I was very specific.
Yes.
Page 95 under economics in the revised expanded edition of the textbook. Seek to have all white persons who have the same last name as yourself. For instance, family name, historical title, etc. And have that person give you direct help, because you're asking for help.
Yes.
White people are in position to give the help most black people. They really are. Some white people are not. But most white people can give some kind of help, even if it's what I have listed here. Financial. Most white people have more money than black people. Technical. Technical. I'm going to say that again. Most white people have more money in the Northwestern Hemisphere, I don't know about other places, than most black people.
Yes.
I mean, the statistics show that. Jobs and whatnot, you get more money. So financial, that would be first.
Yes.
Financial help. All right. Technical. You know, a white person say, I don't have no money, buddy. I mean, you know, hey, I'm struggling. I'm just trying to make it. And he'll be telling the truth. Or she. So you say, well, maybe you can give me some technical assistance. Technical how? Anything, any kind of information. Where can I get a job? Who do I talk to? Give me a phone number of somebody who can help me solve my problem, whatnot. That's technical information. And or educational efforts. Can you help me to learn something that I don't know, that I need to know? These are the things I have listed. Financial, technical, and or educational. And you do that with somebody who has the same last name. People are always saying, including white people, how do you solve this race problem? What's the best way to go about doing it? Well, you can just start with your family name. I mean, you know, let's just talk to white people. You know, we got to get somewhere. we got to start somewhere. What's the best way to start? This might be one of them. Well, you just start with the family name, all right? And that's a direct line. Hey, you know, my father, you're Mr. Thomas, you know. I come from a long line of Thomases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we never moved outside of that line. This is a white person talking. And so, the original Thomases, of South Carolina, we had slaves like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and we named all of our slaves Thomas.
Okay.
All right? So you might be one of the people, who you're not doing well here in 2018. You might be one of our slaves going way back.
Okay.
All right? So, hey, since I'm going to start helping people to get along and whatnot, I'll just start with the Thomases.
Okay.
All right? Every white person should be doing that. I mean, really, initiate it themselves.
All righty.
But if they don't, well, black people should put it on their minds, which is what we try to do with page 95.
Okay.
Here. Right? He could be, going way back in history, one of the owners of the people who passed the name down to me.
Yes.
All right? And I would say, these people, I request right now on the air, if they hear about this, get in touch with me. I mean, I invite you to get in touch with me if you want to be of help to one of your, people that you got a lot of help from.
Okay.
According to the history books that have been written by white people, unless they lied. I don't think they lied about that because they bragged about it. How many slaves they own.
Yeah, yes.
So if Mr. Fuller out there, Mrs. Fuller out there, wherever you happen to be, even going all the way back to Buckingham Palace, if there's any Fullers there, I mean, you probably have something if you're in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, you probably
So you can probably deliver something to me right away and help me in my quest to do what? Produce justice. Replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice.
Okay.
And I think that's an honorable goal to be associated with the white Fullers of this world.
Okay.
Thank you very much. In everything that we do in all 9 areas of activity. And what are the 9 areas of activity? Economics, how you use your time and energy. How do black people, for the most part, use their time and energy when the white supremacists are not making us do something in order to eat and sleep somewhat comfortably? How do we usually use our time and energy when we have what we call a day off, all right, or hours off, or some minutes to ourselves, as you might say? Just look at what we do. Look at what most black people in the Northwestern Hemisphere do, and I think in many parts of the world, when they have what you call leisure time, time to yourself, time to do a limited number of things that you're allowed to do in the prison yard of the system of white supremacy. What we do is show off to each other. And how do the white supremacists control that? Simply by having our minds set in doing just that. We look forward all of our days, everything that we do, if we stop and think about it and tell the truth about it. What black people in the Northwestern Hemisphere do, as far back as I can remember, is looking forward to showing off to other black people. We're going to buy something to show off. We're all in the department stores and whatnot. I mean, everything from a fancy department store, where they have real fancy clothes and jewelry and whatever, and what the latest styles are and whatnot. What are you getting that for? What are you knocking yourself out, making all those payments for? To show off. To show off to whom? Just stand in the mirror all day and look at yourself? No. You want to show off. You want to strut around in front of somebody. Who is this somebody you want to strut around in front of? Tell the truth now. It is other people that look like you. Because white people are not paying no attention to you at all anyway. They don't even want to see you. Get the heck out of here. I don't even want to see you. Except when I call you to do some work for me. And other than that, bye. And what you got on and what you're driving and all like that means absolutely nothing to me. Just get out of my sight. That's the white supremacist philosophy, okay? Until I call you to do something for me. Now you can come around, okay? So what does that leave non-white people to do? Strut around showing off to each other. And if you can't find something to buy to show off, or you can't stand in the middle of the sidewalk, and show off by jumping up and down and turning flips, all right, then you do something like what? Young black people spend a lot of time doing what? Riding around, shooting guns. Now, you might not look at that as showing off, but that's exactly what it is. If you tell the truth, if you will tell the truth to them, and they'll tell the truth to themselves, they're saying, this is mostly what that's about. What is gangs about? Showing off. Showing off to whom? To other people that look like you that is in the other gang. That's it. And you show off by doing what? By shooting guns at them. Hey, there you go. He ain't wearing the colors. Shoot him. And then he shoot back at me. I shoot back at him. But what is it all about? What are you getting out of it? Since every time you fire a bullet, it ain't like somebody's paying you. It ain't like you're going to get a mansion or something. It ain't like you're going to do 2 or 3 years of this and then retire somewhere in some chateau in France. So what are you doing it for? Showing off. Dismal, pitiful, showing off. Because everything that black people do that's connected with that little pitiful showing off, our little parties and whatnot, our barbecues, showing off, showing off, showing off, showing off. And when you fall down exhausted from showing off, what have you got in return for your showing off? Absolutely nothing but a cocaine high. When I say cocaine high, even if you're not on drugs, showing off is a drug because there's no return on your investment. None. You just think that it is. And we got to stop doing it. The code says stop doing anything to show off. Don't show off to nobody because you ain't qualified to show off. That's a directive, that's
yes.
possession. On page 108 of the revised expanded edition of the textbook for victims of white supremacy. Use words as scientific weapons. That's a suggestion that I made as a remedy to helping to remedy the disease of white supremacy. Use words as scientific weapons because that's what they do. Study and use words, the definition of words, and or the production of words in such a manner as to cause the white supremacists to decide to do one of two things. In other words, this should be, for victims of white supremacy, your intermediate goal toward the production of universal man and universal woman. And there's two things that you set as a goal when you start out in resisting white supremacy and trying to eliminate it and replace it with justice. And that is, number one, replace white supremacy with justice between people, or kill all of the non-white people of the known universe. Now, that's what you are trying to force the white supremacists to do. Why? Because whatever you do to oppose them, if they're not going along with it, that's what they're going to do anyway. They're going to kill all the non-white people of the known universe. You want to put them in that position where they have to make that decision. Either replace the system of racism with justice. That's one thing they can do, because that's what you're trying to force them to do or persuade them to do. And the other thing, if they can't do that or don't want to do it, you force them or persuade them to actually kill all of us, the non-white people of the known universe. And it's logical, because if you're opposing something that doesn't want to be moved, you leave them with no other option. That's what you want to do. Leave them with no other options. Try to narrow down the number of options that they have when you try to persuade and or force the white supremacists of this universe to stop being white supremacists.
Mm-hmm.
You're there. So if you're going to replace the system of white supremacy, that's number one. The logical thing that you would replace it with is a system of justice, because the system of white supremacy is a system of non-justice.
Correct.
It guarantees it. Now, if they don't want to do justice, then that leaves them with one other option,
Which is?
to kill all of the non-white people of the planet. And here's why you force them to do this, or rather, this is the suggestion that I'm making. Suppose they say, well, we're not going to do justice, so that leaves us one other option, because we're sick of you black people. We're just sick of you. We're sick of you. I mean, you're not going to do what we say, so, hey, make the rubber meet the road. I mean, now, either you fall in line and keep doing what we say do, which is be subordinate to an unjust system, or I'm going to kill all of you. So how do you respond to that type of ultimatum? You say, okay, go ahead and do it. You said you're going to do it, do it. You got the muscle to do it, like in The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Frank D'Angelo was talking to Michael Corleone and said, hey, hit us while you got the muscle, because you do have the muscle. You can kill all of the black people on this planet. You can actually kill them all. The white supremacists can do that. And all we can do is just try to run and hide and fight the best way we can, run all over the place like chickens with no heads, because we wouldn't know where to go to escape it. There's no certain place, there's no, designated place where we can flee to. That's clear of anybody who has, thought about it and given it serious thought. If you have white supremacy, they can go any place, not only on this planet, but maybe on other planets. So on this planet called Earth, if the white supremacists decide that they are going to slaughter, have a mass slaughter, set a date, actually announce it, say that, hey, find a place to run and hide, and to make it sporting, because the white supremacists love to make killing a sport. That's why they write all these murder mysteries and whatnot. That's why they entice black people to make movies about killing, okay? I mean, kill is a sport. Killing people is a sport in the system of white supremacy. It's a great form of entertainment, a massive form of entertainment. So they'll just say, let's make this entertaining, all right? You black people love entertainment. Well, we can entertain you with a lot of killing, like we have been doing, and you can get a lot of entertainment yourself by dying from our killing. But we're going to make a sport out of it by say this is January, give you a year to find a place to hide and to get your guns ready and everything. We'll make a sport out of it, And then we'll say, okay, you ready? Okay, because this is January the 1st of the next year. This is kickoff time, so we're coming after you. And we're going to kill you wherever we find you. Babies, everybody. Everybody black, you're going. The wagon is coming today, January the 1st of this particular year that they designate, and everybody agrees on. They're coming after you. Fight the best way you can. Run the best way you can. Hide the best way you can. But we are, when we find you, are going to kill you, and it ain't nobody coming to your rescue, because nobody got that kind of muscle. Now, this is exactly what black people are supposed to be trying to force the white supremacists of this planet to do, or do justice. Number one is to do justice. That's what we really should want. That's what I want.
Yes.
But they may decide, no, we're not doing justice under no circumstance. We're not going to give you, no, we're not doing justice. We're not in the business of doing justice. So we got another option. If you're not going to fall in line with what we've been doing all the time, we're going to kill you all. So I say, do it. And there are a lot of black people who say, well, don't invite that. You know, it's not an invitation. It's what they're going to have to do anyway. I don't care how you approach it if they're not going to do justice. Otherwise, we have to put up with justice into injustice, non-justice, into infinity. Oh, you try to accumulate as much money as you can legitimately. Don't rob and steal now. Don't rob and steal. On a job, get out of that habit that we have been taught to try to steal what we can, or get out on the street and carjack somebody. No, get away from that. The white supremacists themselves are robbers and thieves. They rob the whole world. They rob people. When you enslave people, that's robbery. That's rape. That's theft. They sneak up on people and grab them and throw some ropes over their head and drag them off somewhere. That's what you call rape. That's the definition of rape, carrying away by force. And that's robbery. You're taking the person away from their means of being able to take care of themselves and whatnot. Now you're going to have them do your bidding. So they did millions of people this way. So they're the greatest robbers and thieves in the world. So when black people come along and imitate that by going to the airport to carjack somebody, they are experts at that. And you're not going to get rich doing that nonsense, and stop doing it. That's one of the 10 stops in the compensatory code.
But we can't accumulate money, though.
Yes, but let accumulate money in a constructive manner to the extent that they will let you do that. And when you accumulate this money, use this money only for constructive purposes.
Okay.
Don't use that money to do what most black people do, or many black people do, and that's strut around trying to impress other black people. That's a toxic way of handling money. According to the code, you always go by who's doing the talking. Now, whomever uses the term should explain the term. Terms should have definitions, which is very important to always ask about what is the definition of a strong black woman, and who's doing the talking about what the definition is, because different people will have different definitions. The white supremacists believed in strong black females, all right? They definitely believed in them. The ones that they put on that slave ship, hey, they would examine them, you know, look at their breasts and all like that. Oh, this is a real breeder. Oh, she's strong. And, hey, she's got big muscles and whatnot. She must have been doing a whole lot of farm work, or lifting heavy rocks here in the tribe and all like that. Get her on that boat. She can lift some rocks for us, all right? And she can breed some more slaves, because we're going to lose dozens of them on the way over, because some of them are going to be weak, all right? Males and females. We'll have to throw their dead bodies overboard, you know, feed them to the sharks, and try to catch the sharks so that we can eat the sharks, because we're going to need a lot of sharks to feed these slaves with. We're going to have to catch a lot of fish, because we ain't going to have to take a lot of first-class rations. This ain't no pleasure cruise, okay? And we'll be out there for months. So we want strong, using that word strong like I've just been given. You want strong black people. We don't want any weak ones. Take those weak ones and throw them overboard. We shouldn't have brought them here in the first place. They're weak. You know, they got some kind of disease or something like that. We don't need that. we're going to be spreading enough disease ourselves like we always do. So we want strong for whose benefit? For the white supremacists. Deceit and violence, all right? When the white supremacists have to fool their victims, that's the easiest way to control anybody, is for you to be able to train them in such a way that they think that they are doing something that's helping themselves when they are doing something that's really helping you and destroying you while you help them. Now, it's a perfect situation for an aggressor, and they have worked out a code that does that. That's why they are making it. The lady just called in, and she said they are scrambling all the sexualities of non-white people everywhere in the world that they possibly can, going, I mean, they're burning midnight oil trying to come up with new ideas about how to do that. I mean, hey, confuse them sexually and you got them forever, because they understand that. That's a universal principle. If you confuse an animal sexually, an elephant sexually, you don't have to confuse them about nothing else, because that's maximum confusion.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Where the male elephant doesn't know what it is, and the female, I mean, there's a little bit of everything and not much of nothing. Okay? That's where they're taking black people all over the planet, non-white people in Thailand and everywhere else, wholesale as best they possibly, I mean, by the truckload. And they are rewarding you. If you show any signs of going in that direction, you will be rewarded, because they know what influences people.
Yes.
You know, hey, I'll give you a better position, a better job. You want a job, you go to the head of the line. If you will help in the scramble sexuality among non-white people. Now, that's just one thing, but they're doing this in every area of activity. Economics, confuse them. Make them think that they're making a whole lot of money when they're really not. You'll be making it. And the money, if they do go through their hands, is going to be recycled. All these multimillionaire black people that you see, the white supremacists already got it set up. Hey, then it's going to make a long sweeping circle, and they're going to get a nice ride now.
Yeah.
All right? But that circle is going to come, it's going to be a circle. They're not going in a straight line.
Absolutely.
All right? All of that they have, that they claim is theirs, in the end, is going to come right back to me.
Right back.
It's going to boomerang. See, but black people don't know this.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all over the world. I'm talking about black people that probably in the future will have billions and billions of dollars.
Oh.
And they ain't holding on to nothing and passing it on in a constructive manner.
Okay.
The white supremacists teach black people to do what? The 4 show-offisms. It's in the code book. And that's showing off to each other. All right? And showing off what we have and whatnot, and the little trinkets that they give us, the diamond rings and whatnot. I mean, and black people are suffering who are digging those diamonds. But they don't know anything about that. The average black person got no idea of where diamonds come from. They just know that, hey, it's shiny. Look at me, I got it. Okay, you got it. You're black and you got a diamond ring. Now, what does that mean on the world scale? In the eyes of the white supremacists, that means absolutely nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Absolutely nothing. They say, we got tons of them, boy. We got truckloads of diamonds. You know, we got mountains of diamonds. And you around here flashing your little cheap diamonds you got from us.
Yeah.
And we charge you an arm and a leg for it. And you're strutting around where? In the ghetto with your little diamond, thinking that you're big time. You are a stone inward to the nth degree. And we have made you that. And this is how black people are. See, they have made us nothing but babies. We are nothing but babbling babies, and think that we got nerve enough to think, respect me as a grown person, as an elder. to talk about some of the organizations and whatnot, but I'm not putting them down and all like that. I'm just holding up a mirror to truth.
That's true.
We are nobody. We are nothing but prisoners of war, and we have to understand that. I don't care how we prance around and show off to each other.
Mm-hmm.
The white supremacists, even when they're dead drunk, are not impressed with anything that we do.
Supremacy?
Yeah, do you even know what that is?
Do you even know how to spell?
Yeah, supremacy. S-U-P-R-E-N-C-S-Y. Supremacy. Do you know how to spell? Or are you just a buculate obtruculate? Because I'm not the one. I know a lot more than probably what you do. I'm probably older than you. I'm very sophisticated and I'm highly talented.
Spell it one more time for me.
Yes, we need a code for everything. The white supremacists, if people will permit me to use that term, because I'm not going to move from it. I've had all kinds of suggestions down through the decades about, well, stop saying white supremacy. And I'm going to say, no, I'm going to say it because it works. When you actually use it, it works. You may not think that it works, but it works. White people don't like that term, even though they are the ones that gave it to me. I never heard this term white supremacy until I heard it from white people. They were bragging about the use of it. But I stick with what they're bragging about because one thing, it's true. Okay? Supreme just means a person can tell me what to do and I don't know what to do about it and I don't want to do it. But I still have to do it because I don't know what to do about it. That's all supreme means. Okay? And if you base that on being white and you're able to pull it off, then that's true. Now, I say in order to solve a problem, you first have to recognize it is a problem, even though the problem is more powerful than I am. I can't walk around in jail saying I'm not a prisoner because it makes me feel better. Many black people want to feel better instantly. That is natural. I fully understand that. But if you're a prisoner of war and you decide while you're a prisoner, you know what? I'm going to stop calling myself a prisoner. I'm going to say that I'm a king. I ain't no prisoner. I'm a king. And that warden, he's the prisoner. Look, he's on the other side of the bars. See? So he's my prisoner. I got him in jail. That's why he's here. He's right here with me. And so that makes me feel better. Sure, that's a big temptation. But that doesn't motivate you to tear down them prison walls. See what I mean? Because that's what I'm trying to get to do. And that takes some courage. And that takes admission of the truth that we have been beaten. We're not just walking around doing whatever we want to do, the black people of this planet. We have already been beaten. But we need to get some adrenaline going to fight against the thing that has conquered us. Because it's what? Evil. And it needs to be replaced. We're not just trying to survive in this system. No. We are trying to dismantle the entire system, or we should be. And anytime that's not our objective, then we have no business doing anything. Well, according to what I've written in the code book, black people are not qualified to celebrate anything. Prisoners are not in a celebratory condition. Black people are prisoners of war. The non-white people of the planet in the system of white supremacy were born in captivity. We're still born in captivity, all of us. Everybody of color on the planet is born in captivity. Captivity to whom? To racist man and racist woman. The white supremacists of this planet. You're born inside of their prison because they dictate what you do in all 9 areas of activity and what you don't do. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. They dictate this to all of the non-white people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to think, speak, and act according to what they allow you to do. So you're in prison. And so you're not, prisoners are not qualified. They can go ahead and do it, but you're not qualified to celebrate anything. But the white supremacists love for their prisoners to celebrate everything, including being in prison. Celebrate that.
Yeah.
Okay? Have fun. Get out there in the prison yard, and I mean, hey, just turn flips and sing and dance and play banjo. Slaves are always encouraged to do this.
To act a fool.
Entertain yourselves. Entertain yourselves until you drop. But just be back on that job come Monday.
Yeah.
All right? Deals with black pride, and the second one, white friends. Now, don't try to be proud to be black. First of all, I've said for years, what are you saying and who are you talking to? You say, you know, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. To whom are you talking? And what is the effect supposed to be? I've always said you're black because whatever created you made you black. Marcus Garvey said that. He said that God made black people black and he didn't make a mistake. End of story. Right there. In other words, you were made black. You shouldn't be proud of something that you were made in the first place because you didn't have anything to do with it. Everything in the code is about logic. You don't have to say that ever to anybody. You don't have to tell people how proud you are to be black. You don't have to wear some type of hairstyle in order to prove that you're black. Prove it to whom? In order to, you know, people see that you're black. That's a done deal. That's a done deal. Now, what are you supposed to be doing? See, now we get into the real part. What are you supposed to be doing as a black person? Or let's go to the essentials. What are you supposed to be doing as a creature on this planet each and every minute of each and every day? You're supposed to be engaged in constructive activity of problem solving. That's the logical conclusion. And you don't have to mention anything about how black you are. Running around the block, I mean, shouting everybody, you know, I'm black. I mean, you know, everybody look at me, I'm black, 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 you know. I'm proud to be black. I ain't ashamed to be black. You don't have to say any of that. That's not going to get you anything anyway. Nobody gives you nothing, or nobody helps you to do anything based on that. Just do the things that need doing, like problem solving. That should be how you express your blackness. Walk in and say, not I'm black and I'm proud. Walk in and say, what's the problem? Because I am capable of solving problems. That's what I am about. Because I don't have any black friends. Because in the system of white supremacy, we're not in a friendly world. What you do is minimize conflict. Anything that you can do or say, if you see people in conflict, try to minimize the conflict by doing the most constructive thing. That should be the concentration, not going around trying to gather friends. See, that's abstract. That's too abstract. Black people, non-white people, should get away from the abstractness. Of course, everything starts from abstractness, but you're supposed to get to focus and clarity and make something practical. Everything that you do on this planet is supposed to be practical in problem solving. All black people, the spokespersons, they're not leaders, they're spokespersons. They can ask and then they can beg. They can go to the second thing. You can make a request, and when you ask twice, Now you're begging. But we are all in position of being beggars because the world is a prison. And when you are a prisoner of war, you are a beggar if you're talking to the prison master. You're begging. You can't go off somewhere and say, well, if he doesn't want to do what I want done, I can do this. I can go back to my cell and I can do this and I can do that. You got to remember, you're in the master of the prison cell. The white supremacists sit back and say, well, hey, what we're doing is working fine because we are not confused. Our job is to dominate non-white people, everybody who's black, brown, red, yellow, beige, purple, orange, gold, whatnot. Everybody who is not white, as a white supremacist, it is my duty to dominate and mistreat them forever. That's the white supremacist agenda. That's what it is. And I am not confused about that, and nobody can confuse me about that, and I am some kind of efficient with it because I have accomplished that. I'm not trying to accomplish that. I have long, my forefathers before me accomplished that. We have this down to a scientific perfection, and we got these people so spaced out, they don't have any idea not only about who they are and what they are here for, they got no idea about nothing that I don't tell them. That's the white supremacist agenda.
Yes.
Because it's an agenda that works. You have to understand that the entire world is dominated by the white supremacists. And if you have color in your skin, you are a person who has been assigned to be mistreated because of your color, because of the way you were born, because of the way that the creator of you, if you are a person of color, a non-white person, the creator put color in your skin. And the white supremacists are saying, well, regardless of who did it, it means you are eligible to be mistreated by me because I'm a white person and you are not white, so I have the power and the authority and the privilege and all of everything that's supposed to be of benefit is supposed to be around me. And you are only supposed to get what I say you can have because you have color in your skin. Now, the non-white people who understand that this is the setup and this is the dominant government of the entire planet, then the white supremacists will understand that you understand this, and if enough people understand it, people can't go. It's something about the mind that says you don't go against something that, you can't ignore something that you understand, particularly when it's working against you. That'll keep bothering you until you'll have a tendency to do something about it. Now, that's what the white supremacists do not want. They do not want black people to be logical. They do not want black people to think about anything except something that's real silly and real stupid. This is why they always glorify stupidity in black people. If a black person has a tendency to show stupidity or silliness, that black person, the white supremacists immediately seize upon them and say, this person doesn't show any signs of being serious about anything. So these are the black people that we want to become more and more prominent. And we will feed into their silliness. Anything stupid that they come up with or we come up with for them, we will glorify it. As long as it's stupid and silly. Anything that's serious and constructive, we don't want them to be logical. We don't want them to tap into that. That's not the way we want any people of color to ever think. We want them to be celebratory people, the people who are jumping up and down and turning flips all day and running around in a circle. And then when they bump into each other, they immediately start fighting each other. That's the way we want to keep them. But if you're sitting down and slowly thinking things through and trying to be problem solvers rather than problem makers, no, we don't want those type of non-white people to get out from under our surveillance. You watch them very closely. It's like that dangerous black person on the plantation who's always going around trying to read something or trying to figure things out, asking questions, trying to figure out how the plantation is run. That is a dangerous Negro on this plantation. Sell him down the river or give him a good whipping and stop him from being curious about serious things. Keep him in the silly mode. That is the category that black people are always supposed to be in, the silly mode, the destructive mode. Don't let them think about anything serious, because then they become a danger.
Yes, we need a code. That's the missing link. That's why I'm trying to write one. A lot of people have asked me, well, Fuller, where's the whole code? I say there's no such thing as a whole code in anything until what? All problems are solved. So black people, since we have been denied everything that makes sense for so long, we should, to compensate for that, try to do everything that makes sense. That's the yin and yang of it. If you've been taught from birth that you are supposed to be, that you, first of all, are genetically inferior, so therefore you're also stupid, and you're supposed to remain stupid. I think as Dr. Kathy Hughes has said, used to use the term SOS, stuck on stupid. Well, the white supremacist says, yes, if you're black, you're supposed to be stupid. You're supposed to be stupid all the time. You don't do anything that ever makes sense because you're black. And you're a black person, every move that you make all day long and everything that you look forward to doing is going to be super stupid because you're black. Now, if we're going to have a repair job, we should take just the reverse. Everything that we do is going to be constructive. See, if we study, many black people have been in what we call prison. In the textbook that I've written, I call it greater confinement, because we are born in prison. The system of white supremacy is the only government we've ever known. So that's a prison system itself. So we're treated like prisoners. We're assigned cell blocks. I mean, even the architecture where they build, where black people are, kind of follows the prison, what we call the greater confinement pattern. Wire, concrete, everything hard, no grass. In fact, some so-called prisons, what we call prisons, Angola, Alcatraz and all like that, it's got some grass growing on some of them because they have the prisoners take care of the lawns and whatnot. But where black people are, even all over the world, what we call the mother countries and all like that, one of the first things you notice, where there's a lot of people, there's a lot of mud, roads, just where most of the huts are and whatnot. No grass, no well-tailored lawns of any kind, just dirt and sand, okay? Now, most prisons look like that, in particular in the old days, back when they had the gray walls. That was long before they started polishing floors and all like that and making the prisons look better, which is what they have done for black people worldwide. We're still in a prison, all of us, and they have made the prison look better, all right? But we're still in prison because we can't go here and go there. We have to get permission to do everything, get permission in all 9 areas of activity to do anything from the prison masters, who are always white. The prison masters are white. So we act like prisoners. What do prisoners do when they're allowed to go out in the yard and stay and mill around for a while? Because that's all black people do when we get together. We're always talking about black people need to get together. What do we do when we get together? We mill around looking at each other, and then at a certain point we don't like what we're looking at, meaning us, and then we do what? Find a reason to start an argument. That's what we do better than anything. Find a reason to start an argument. We do that. All you have to do is just get a bunch of us together, and we don't know what to do when we get together except just mill around like prisoners in a prison yard. That's what they do, just mill around. They ain't got no plans for nothing, so they're just walking from one wall to the other, and that's what we do. Just walk from one wall to the other, one street to the other, one yard to another, one room to another, until we get tired of that. Then we pay attention to what? Each other. And once we pay attention to each other, we find something that we don't like, because we don't like ourselves. We've been trained not to by the white supremacists. So what we do is start what? not a constructive conversation about doing anything constructive. We start some type of criticism, some type of name calling, usually in the form of some type of joke that turns out not be a joke. And then it turns into some kind of insult of some type. And even at barbecues and all like that, next thing you know, you go from arguments to what? The logical course of an argument is what? Next, a fight. And go from a fight to what? Killing. And then the white supremacists already know that in their prison yard. They know that prisoners are going to get out there in the prison yard. They stay out there long enough, bumping into each other. A fight is going to start. And then if they got any kind of shank, as they call them, behind walls, any kind of weapon, they're going to use that on each other. And then the prison masters have to come in, as usual, and clean up the mess. And wherever you find black people, you find black people with young people saying what? Like when I turn on the TV every day, or if I turn it on even 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, with the kind of situation we have always had, it's a black lady sitting there talking about, I got to get out of this neighborhood. Well, you're always talking about black people getting together, so y'all together, okay? But what do we do when we get together? Find a way to start killing each other. That's what we do. We're going to find a way, because that's all we know. I mean, we run out of things to do, which is what prisoners do, run out of things to do. You don't have a plan for the future or nothing, so you turn on each other. The white supremacists know that. This is why all over the world, not just here, not just Chicago and Washington, D.C., and Cleveland, Ohio, San Diego, California, wherever, not just there, but everywhere you find black people. And most of them are trying to get away from each other after they spend all that time trying to get with each other. Because we don't know what to do when we get with each other, except fight. Because that's what we've been trained to do by the white supremacists, and we don't even know it. Because that's what prisoners of war do. They have low self-esteem, so they can't stand themselves, and they can't stand anybody who looks like them, looks like us. We can't stand anybody that looks like us, and we can't stand us when we look in the mirror, because we don't like nothing that we see, because we are not in charge of nothing. That's why, including ourselves. And we keep lying to ourselves like we are not in that position, and that is even worse insanity than being insane, when you start lying to yourself about the truth. So we turn on each other in answer to the person's question. And the code says we have to learn that we are that way. So what do you do about it? Don't get with another black person unless you have something constructive to say or do. Now, if you don't remember anything else that's said in this program, because we've been talking about the problem all this time, almost for 2 hours, like we do every time. But I like to talk about the code says it's about problem solving. So how do you solve that problem? Black people are always turning on each other. Every time we get together, everybody starts an argument, and the next thing you know, we do what we do best, turn on each other, go at each other full tilt. And then the white supremacists have to come in and clean up the shell casings all over the place, all right? And then we're pleading with them, please, master, get me out of here. Get me out. I got to get straight out of Brooklyn. I got to get straight out of Compton. I got to get straight out of what, boy? Straight out of what, gal? Straight out of where people that look like me are. Because it's hell here. Every time we get together, it's hell. Master, please send me somewhere else. Well, somewhere else like where, boy? Don't you like being with your own people? Send me where you at. Okay, you want to come where I am? Yeah, because it's safe over there. It makes more sense over there. People act like they got a little bit of sense. I want to go there. So we move there, okay? And then what do? I kind of miss my homies, you know? I kind of miss them. I don't know how to relate to these white folks. So what do? You petition and say, we need to bring some black people in here. Those are the same black people you just got through running from. Like right now, as we talk, all over the world, I'm talking about all over the world now, black people. Black people are asking one question, many of them, the most educated ones. Let me out of here, away from these other black people. Which way did the white people go? I got my babies in my arms, one in each arm, and I'm getting on the first boat that look like it ain't got a lot of leaks in it, and take me across this ocean and find some white folks somewhere so that I can get my life together. start my life all over again, because it is pure hell wherever you find people that look like me. After I spent all my life trying to get with them, now I got to spend the rest of my life trying to get away from them because they're giving me hell. People that look like me. Now, either I'm telling the truth or the stuff that I read and hear and see ain't there, because I'm going by what I see and what I have always seen. I have never, ever seen it any different from that. Period. The only thing black people value, really, because we've been trained, is what? Impressing other black people. That's as far, collectively, as our thoughts go. Truth be told, that's a painful truth. But we got to make a priority, replace the system of white supremacy with justice. That has to be the priority. We got to get out of what we call that whole thing about black culture, because black culture is about one thing. If we tell the truth, look at it. Just don't believe what I'm saying. Just look at what we actually do. Once we get just a few steps ahead, just like little children playing with toys in Toyland, we run around trying to impress each other. That's like slaves rattling their chains at the bottom of the ship, saying, my chains are shinier than yours, telling the other slave that. And sometimes get into a bragging thing that leads to an argument. And there they are banging each other over the head with their chains. And we are still in that state of mind in 2016, worldwide, truth be told. We don't have any ambition that goes beyond one black person trying to impress another black person any way that we can, including just going in and shooting up the place. That makes an impression. I killed him. I killed a whole bunch of black guys over there in the bar tonight, and I got away. Ha, ha, ha. Hooray for me. Now I got a reputation around the hood. That's as far as our minds go. And in business, the same thing. In every area of activity. You don't know nothing. I know everything. How many times do you hear that in a black barber shop? Oh man, you don't know nothing. I've been to New York. I've been to Paris. You don't know what I know. One Negro showing off to another Negro. Black people making a priority for their entire lives of showing off their shiny chains that were put on them by the white supremacists to other black people and calling it life. That's what my life is all about. I was able to impress a few of my so-called friends and a few people who didn't know me, who got to know me now, and they are all black, and they are impressed with my so-called progress, and hooray for me. I have arrived in heaven on earth. Truth be told, that is as far as our ambition goes. And the white supremacists looked at this little childish stuff and say, Negroes forever. I got them right where I want them. Because our ambition is to conquer the entire universe, if we can, and everything in it. And if there are 50,000 universes out there, we're going to conquer them too. Even if there's nobody on those planets, we'll just call them ours anyway. Why? Because we are super people. We don't have shallow minds. We don't have shallow goals. A Negro, all he wants to do is strut up and down the block and show off the little things that I allowed him to have, show these things off to some other downtrodden Negro and say, I'm better than you. And that's good enough for me.
Has to be a quantum number, though. It has to be a quantum number. In other words, a large number of non-white people, period. Not only a black male, but black females too. In other words, people who understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works. That's the first order of business. You have to understand that the entire world is dominated by the white supremacists. And if you have color in your skin, you are a person who has been assigned to be mistreated because of your color, because of the way you were born, because of the way that the creator of you, if you are a person of color, a non-white person, the creator put color in your skin. And the white supremacists are saying, well, regardless of who did it, it means you are eligible to be mistreated by me because I'm a white person and you are not white, so I have the power and the authority and the privilege and all of everything that's supposed to be of benefit is supposed to be around me. And you are only supposed to get what I say you can have because you have color in your skin. Now, the non-white people who understand that this is the setup and this is the dominant government of the entire planet, then the white supremacists will understand that you understand this, and if enough people understand it, people can't go. It's something about the mind that says you don't go against something that, I mean, you can't ignore something that you understand, particularly when it's working against you. That'll keep bothering you until you'll have a tendency to do something about it. Now, that's what the white supremacists do not want. They do not want black people to be logical. They do not want black people to think about anything except something that's real silly and real stupid. This is why they always glorify stupidity in black people. If a black person has a tendency to show stupidity or silliness, that black person, the white supremacists immediately will seize upon them and say, this person doesn't show any signs of being serious about anything. So these are the black people that we want to become more and more prominent. And we will feed into their silliness. Anything stupid that they come up with or we come up with for them, we will glorify it. As long as it's stupid and silly. Anything that's serious and constructive, we don't want them to be logical. We don't want them to tap into that. That's not the way we want any people of color to ever think. We want them to be celebratory people, to people who are jumping up and down and turning flips all day and running around in a circle. And then when they bump into each other, I mean, they immediately start fighting each other. That's the way we want to keep them. But if they're sitting down and slowly thinking things through and trying to be problem solvers rather than problem makers, no, we don't want those type of non-white people to get out from under our surveillance. You watch them very closely. It's like that dangerous black person on the plantation who's always going around trying to read something or trying to figure things out, asking questions, trying to figure out how the plantation is run. That is a dangerous Negro on this plantation. Sell him down the river or give him a good whipping and stop him from being curious about serious things. Keep him in the silly mode. That is the category that black people are always supposed to be in, the silly mode, the destructive mode. Don't let them think about anything serious, because then they become a danger. We're not thinking about what's coming at us at all, because most people don't even have an idea that such a thing as white supremacy exists. When it controls everything, if you're black, everything that you're doing, the white supremacists control. Even when you think that you're controlling something. The average black person wakes up in the morning and say, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that on whose terms? I mean, when you walk out your door and the street that you walk on, who determines what street that you are going to be on? Even when you walk out what you call your door. Because your door might not even be your door. Your door may be something that you owe somebody for. Have you thought of that? You say, this is my door. This is my house. Is it really? When you stop to think, who really owns your house? Are you beholden to anybody? I mean, is this a house that you built on the street that you built in the place that you decided it would be, or was the place already there and somebody told you it might be a good idea for you to go over there and take a look and then move in? Move in on what? On whose terms? On your terms? Not likely. On somebody else's terms. And who is that somebody else, ultimately? Who is it? Have you ever asked? Have you ever thought about it? Do you really control your existence on this planet? The average black person, particularly black males, we got this thing about, physicality. If I take off my shirt and I got big bulging muscles, I mean, somehow that's a cure-all for everything in the world. I'm a black male, and I got strong muscles. I can lift weights, and I can run down the street faster than anybody else and get where I'm going. That somehow makes me a strong black man, and that's all I need. I got these bulging muscles. I'm fit and I'm trim. I love to take my shirt off, particularly, in the summertime and whatnot. I don't want to wear a shirt at all. I take my shirt off so people can see my strong muscles. Okay. And I can lift things. I can go here and I can go there. But have you ever stopped to think about what you can use your muscles for or against? And what's the product? Is this all that you have? Do you have anything else to show for your being on this planet up to now? Do you have a plan for the future that goes beyond just you taking up the sidewalk, making people walk around you when you come down the sidewalk because you're in the middle, and they have to go past you, the ladies with the baby strollers and all like that, because you are, your own man? Or are you really a man? Because the people who, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, there were a lot of strong males, strong black males, but I tend to believe they were people who understood their position in the system of white supremacy. That's why they had signs. Now, these are people that lift garbage pails. You got to be strong to do that. But they had signs saying what? I am a man. People right now can go to their computers and punch up the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, April 1968. And there in Memphis, Tennessee, Martin Luther King was there to help the garbage workers, who were all black, I understand, to get higher wages. And these garbage workers, these sanitation workers, proud people who, many of them, were, you might call it that day, pillars of the community and in the church and all like that. But they were sanitation workers. But they were also saying, yeah, even though we're sanitation workers, we should be getting a decent wage. But they didn't have signs saying we should be getting a decent wage. They had signs saying, almost in unison, there are photographs of it. That's a historical record. Saying what? I am a man. M-A-N. Like Muddy Waters even had a song saying man, man,
Right.
over and over again. And when black people, and they don't say it so much nowadays, they say dude, but black people used to use the word man all the time back in the 40s and 50s. Why?
Right.
You had to keep saying that to kind of reassure yourself that that's what you should be. You should be treated like a man. I'm a man. Don't be calling me no boy. I'm a man. You say boy this and boy that. I'm tired of hearing that. Even when black people would say it to each other. Hey, boy, Hey, well, man, hey, I'm a man. I'm 3 times 7. That was a common saying. 3 times 7. That makes me 21. I'm a man. And if you don't believe I'm a man, I'll prove it to you. Meaning I will do harm to you physically. That's what it meant in the old days. But see, black people had to keep saying that to each other and finally they had to start saying it to white people, but the white supremacists said, it's only going to be one man on this planet. And you boys who want to be men, I tell you what, after Martin Luther King is dead, I'll make a deal with you. You'll go from boys not to men. You'll go from boys to women.
To women.
Yes. I will degenderize you and get you to love it. You will love acting like your sisters and love being that way and go around looking for another male to do things with you in the bed like you're a female.
Rather than use the term white supremacy, use the term white aggression. Okay, put that on the board. Erase the term white supremacy, put white aggression on the board. Does that change the circumstances? I have found that it doesn't. You can switch words around and play with words all you want to. I say that to people based on logic. But if the situation is the same, what does supreme means? Why are you afraid of it? Anything can be supreme, you know. I mean, if you let it, and we let the system of white supremacy exist, simply because we think we can wish it away. We don't make any effort to replace it with a better system. And that better system would be the system of justice, logically speaking. They say, yeah, but, you know, you're giving you know, those white aggressors, they ain't nothing. I mean, you're giving them too much credit. I'm not giving them anything other than what the rest of us are giving. I mean, you know, I'm giving them what I'm giving them, and that is what they demand that they want. Now, if that ain't supreme, I don't know what is. I do what they tell me to do. That's supreme, folks. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me what to do. I'm a prisoner of war. I was born in a prison. Every non-white person who is existing now, truth be told, is a prisoner of the system of white supremacy. That's why we are protesting how we are being treated. They are not protesting how they are being treated by us. That's supreme. That's what supreme means. It doesn't mean you are good. See, people get the two words mixed up. Words are very important. If you say white aggression, yes, it's white aggression. That's how they got to be supreme. They were very aggressive in becoming supreme. They say we're going to take over the non-white people of this world, black, brown, red, and yellow, and having them begging us about whether or not they'll be able to eat tomorrow or today or sleep tonight, because we can kill them anytime we want to, all of them. And they can't kill us anytime they want to kill us, because a lot of them might want to kill us right now, but they don't have the know-how, and they ain't got the muscle. All right, just like, you know, in the Corleones, if you want to use the Godfather movie as an example. Hey, who has the muscle? Who has the muscle? Well, if we had it, then they wouldn't be treating us like this. This is the kind of thinking that gets black people in trouble when they jump out of a car when they are being pulled over and an armed person walks up to them, and that person has a white face who may or may not be a racist, and all of a sudden, woof, 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 woof. Black people have, you know, a lot of us have these big, heavy voices. A lot of us been lifting weights and all like that, and we got a lot of muscle in our bodies, but not a whole lot of muscle, the record has shown, in our brains, all right? We are not known to be the most brainiest people in the world. Truth be told, and the white supremacists know that because they have seen to it that we haven't learned very much in the little time that we have been under their tutelage, because they block us from learning. But we walk around trying to make ourselves believe that we know everything, and that does not pay off very well, particularly when we start trying to express it in the form of counter-aggression against the aggressor, like I said, many of us, and I've seen it, and some of us have experienced it, jumping out of the car, woof, 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 woof. You ain't gonna put them cuffs on me. I mean, you know, I got my rights. I know what my rights are. I'm tired of this. You know, woof, 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 woof. Okay, all right, woof, woof, woof. And what has the record shown? That most of us who do that wind up out of this world within the next 2 or 3 seconds. And everybody that's supposed to be our homies, our kin folks, our friends, people who are fighting for our rights and all like that, out there with signs and balloons and candles and teddy bears for the 10 millionth time saying, woe is me, this has got to stop, we can't have no more of this. But it all started with that being unrealistic, with woof, 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 woof. I know my rights. You can't do this to me. Oh, hey, boy, I can't do this to you when I have been doing it to everybody that looks like you, and my foreparents before me been doing it to everybody that looks like you, like forever in recorded history, and you bang, 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 bang. Okay, now what do you say about what I can't do to you, boy? Huh? Can you speak? Hey, you're lying here on this highway. Speak up, boy. Hey, can't you tell me all about how you did, who you could whip in the cell block? All right, where you spent most of your time before you got in my face? Tell me all about it, boy, with them 15 bullets I just put in you. Tell me all about how you built the pyramids. And then while your buddy's waiting down the highway for me to go down there and do the same thing to him. You people never wake up and smell the coffee. Smell white supremacy. How about that smell?
Well, probably all of the above, if I understand your question. See, if a fish, the nature of a fish is born in water. So the fish is not aware of water until the fish is out of the water, okay? Because that's the natural habitat of a fish. Now, if you're born in prison, and black people are born in prison, non-white people are born in a prison called, and the name of that prison is the system of white supremacy, you're just not aware that you're in prison. You think this is situation normal. I mean, you know, hey, what's wrong with people? I mean, you know, talking about some kind of racism, what is that? I mean, you know, I go where I want to, do what I want to, what are you talking about? Why? Because if you're born in a situation, if you're born in a prison cell, and you never go out of that prison cell, your whole world is a prison cell. I mean, even a mouse understands that. Or a bird in a cage. A bird born in a caged bird, as Maya Angelou would say. I mean, it's just singing. I mean, you know, hey, I mean, it's happy. Like black people on the plantation. Oh, you know, the happy darky, they called us. All right? Hey, and you say something about slavery. I ain't no slave. What you talking about? Zippity-doo-dah. I'm happy. I got a banjo, got my gal, got my song. What you talking about? See, now that's a firmly indoctrinated person, all right, who is not aware of his situation. And for the most part, here in 2018, the non-white people of this planet are not aware that they were born in a prison called the system of white supremacy, and that they are prisoners of war in that prison, and that no one is seriously telling them this in words that they can understand. And that makes all the difference in the world in how people behave. Because we consider this situation normal, which it is. Why is it normal, quote unquote? Because it's always been that way for the people who are on this planet right now. Maybe thousands of years ago it wasn't that way, but that's the way it is in 2018. So it's natural, you might say, if you want to use that word, for non-white people to not understand that they are prisoners of war when they are born in prison and never known anything else other than that. In economics, in education, in entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. They are war prisoners. They are war prisoners, prisoners of that war. Already, born that way, in prison, behind those walls. Well, if you're not white as a person, if you're not classified as white, then you are something less than white. By less meaning you're supposed to have less power, less choices than a person who is classified as white in all 9 areas of activity wherever you are on the planet. It doesn't make any difference what shade of black you might be. Black, brown, red, yellow, beige, slang term, red bone, whatever. If the question is, are you white or not? That's it. You don't even have to go into the shades of color. Shades of color, just shades of color. White is non-color. That's why they call people of color colored people. People that have color. If you're white, white is not a color except when you're talking about paint. If you're talking about people, you're talking about a category of people who are supposed to be eligible to be white supremacists. That doesn't say, a lot of black people are white. If you look at their skin color, they're really white. We got some of them in our families, extended families, if not in the immediate family, so-called. All right? Even though in the system of white supremacy, there's no such thing as a black family anyway. I mean, that's a myth. That's something made up. That's something black people walk around thinking they got. Prisoners of war don't have families. All right? That's not logical. That's not true. You cannot be a prisoner of war and have anything. You don't even have yourself, not to say anything about having a family. And the white supremacists prove that over and over again, all the time, right in our face. You don't have nothing. You don't even have yourself. Mm-hmm. You just got me as your boss. That's all you got. And it'll stay that way, and that's what drives you black people crazy. Mm-hmm. Because you don't understand how we do that and what your status really is. That's why you're crazy like we have made you. And you act crazy. And you will be in this state as long as I have power over you. We have to understand that. Prisoners of war. I keep saying that over and over again. What does a prisoner of war have? That's the question. A prisoner of war has nothing, even when they think they have something. Once you're a prisoner of war, you're just a number.
Yes.
And once you're a prisoner of war in the system of white supremacy, you're just a color. That's all that you have. And you don't even have that, because the white supremacists would walk up to you and say what color you are, on any given day. All right? Or what color anything is. If the white supremacists say, you look up at a black person, you say, oh, the sky is blue. And the white supremacist said, no, the sky is gray. And the black person will say, well, I'm looking at it, and I can see, I know a blue sky, I ain't afraid. Mm-hmm. And the white supremacists say, what do I say, boy? I say the sky is gray. Now, you going to prove to me that the sky is blue, what are you going to use as proof? Well, I got sense. I can see it. I can see that the sky is blue. I know blue when I see it. The sky is blue today. It ain't gray. And the white supremacist said, what did I just say to you? They say, well, are you going to make me say that the sky is blue? Now, that's the white supremacist talking to a black person anywhere on this planet right now. Are you going to make me say that when I just told you, boy, that the sky is gray? Yeah, but nothing. Yeah, but you don't overrule me under any circumstance. I don't care what you're looking at. You say you got a wife. I say you haven't. Your wife belongs to me. Now, prove that she doesn't. Because I can prove that she does because I own you. And that means what? And this is very important when the white supremacists are talking. If I own you, what do you own? Just answer that question. Stop and think about it. If somebody owns me, then what do I own? I don't own anything because whoever owns me owns everything that I claim is mine. And that gets back to that answer about somebody saying something about a basketball player, having this and having that. Under the system of white supremacy, if you're black, you have absolutely nothing. Not even the privilege of calling yourself black if a white supremacist say you're brown, like somebody just called in and said, or you're yellow, or you're blue. Why? Because I said so, boy. Because I said so, gal. Now, you prove to me that I'm lying. And I just told you, you bet not tell me that I lied. Because I can hurt you, and you cannot hurt me. That's the bottom line, folks.
Yes, sir.
That's the bottom line. I can hurt you a whole lot more than you can hurt me. And every non-white person on this planet that ever attempted to do that, we laugh at them. And we say, bring it on. Because now that's the bottom line. Can you prove it by force? Because that's what you're going to take to do it, to change what I just told you. Sky being gray instead of blue.